Hello, and welcome back to Shmup Does Things. And today, we're going to be doing like weekly plan day. This is the first one of these. Also first time I'm using PowerPoint, so it's all my ideas are here for the week. Let's hop right into it. Okay, so first off, for Tuesday, or I guess tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. I want to do some OP13 testing. Really, I don't know how Shanks is going to fare in this meta. I've heard very bad things, but I haven't done any testing myself. From what I know, some of the better Shanks players are hitting about 40% win rate, which isn't promising. We're going to start with tank lists. I might move Trent, some aggro. Really just going to be kind of throwing a deck together to see what works and what doesn't, how stuff feels here and there. I don't have super high hopes, I won't lie, but we'll probably be able to eke out some information about where to go with this deck. I do want to try Shanks out in OP13, as well as whatever other deck I end up playing primarily. But that all kind of starts with just giving it a shot, right? Wednesday, I want to play Fudge's Grand Bounty Top 8 control list. There's also a chance I might be able to include him in that video, just to get his thoughts and like lines and stuff. No promises. If he's available, we'll do it. If not, I'll just run the list myself. It's a very strong control list. People have been asking for more control, so I figure that's as good a place to start as any. And yeah, he's a very competent player, so I'm excited to just check out his list. We talk back and forth a lot. I've tested a lot of tank stuff. Nice to give control a shot finally, especially that I'm mostly done with my tank list for now, at least until PRBO2 drops. Thursday, I want to check out Purple Luffy. I'll be playing that deck at my locals that Thursday, and it's one of the decks I want to run for OP13 potentially. I've heard good things about it, and if it's fun and affordable, as it should be once PRBO2 drops, I'll probably check it out, at least to cover that gap until EBO3 Vivi drops, right? That's kind of what I'm just trying to figure out for that set. It'll probably be secondary to Shanks as far as content goes, but will still be one of the main decks I am playing. Friday. I don't really have a plan for what to do Friday. This is kind of just whatever is wanted. Worst case scenario, I'll probably fall back on just some basic tank gameplay, but otherwise it's pretty free will. I do want to be Shanks focused because I want to get more Shanks in, more practice in before like major events coming up. But yeah, worst case scenario, just do more tank practice. I feel pretty confident though. Whatever you guys want to see, let me know. You should be able to fit it in the schedule here pretty confidently. Afterwards, I also don't really know about Saturday. Really, just kind of whatever leader. There's a couple ones I'm looking at here and there. I'm kind of interested in checking out Robin, maybe, but I also want to save that video for when the main Robin player I know is available for a sort of collaboration video. More on that later. But yeah, there's tons of leaders. Again, whatever you want, Saturday. Any suggestions are welcome. I'll probably find something. If there's nothing you guys want, I'll probably figure out something by then on my own. But for right now, I do want to leave this as a kind of free day for whatever. It also would be a good day for OP13 testing, like Roger or something, like one of the OP13 leaders, which could be fairly interesting. I might just end up playing like Red Black Sabo or something. Not the same is updated for OP13. Red Black Sabo is one of my personal favorite decks, at least coming out of that set at the moment. And I don't love him too much, but he seems cool. I know Roger is a big eye catcher for a lot of the Shanks players out there, as they play similar cards and are similar decks in general. I'd probably check out one of the Rush Shanks lists, as it kind of would just feel natural, of course. But yeah, we'll see what we end up doing then. Sunday, I want to check out Black Smoker. This deck's really interesting. It's been doing pretty well from what I've seen, and with the meta being what it is, I feel pretty confident that this deck could be quite powerful as a rogue pick. I'm also generally interested in playing more control-y decks in general. I used to play a lot more control than I do now. I've kind of fallen out of it now that I've popped into like the kind of tank Shanks mindset, where control doesn't feel as strong, especially with all the removal protection nowadays. But Smoker could definitely be quite strong, and I mean, if I can make it work, I'd love to. Also, it's just one of those black decks that interests me. The 5-cost Ishigi is a really cool card, and I want to test it out. I've also seen them start running 5-cost Dark, and that's another card that interests me that I want to check out. But yeah, we'll see when we get there. That's the weekly plan. We also want to do an EBO3 Vivi updates. So I've seen about 4 main lists rise up from people I know who play this deck well as other content creators. My own list I've done testing with is here. I say testing very lightly. I haven't actually tested 5-cost Nami, but it's gonna fit in my list either way. For those who are unfamiliar with the leader's effect is once per turn when when one of your characters with a cost of 4 or greater would be KO'd, you may instead trash one card from your hand. And then activate main, once per turn you may rest this leader, give one of your characters rush, and then you subtract 2,000 power from one of your opponent's characters. So my list focuses primarily around the 10 cost draw for Kaido. The idea is basically get to late game healthy enough that you can start slamming this down, moving your opponent's board, and just filling hand size back up tremendously. It also kind of abuses the 0 cost bad mana state course. Getting value out of this card is very easy late game, especially even early game with how much drop power you have between the functionally invulnerable Cavendish, the 4 cost Shanks blocker to kind of just tank any size hit for 1 card, and also turn your bricks into 2Ks. 5 cost Yamato to just refill hand on the spot, right? Poet take out a body for 6k power. As well as stuff like the 1 cost OP13 Otama to combo with the 6 cost Jozu. Being able to play 2 of those and then bounce them back down with Jozu, give Jozu rush, and then have 2 down open for whatever you want late game is honestly quite strong. Just, cycling out 2 cards, seeing 4 more, and then getting 2 2Ks back to hand is an incredible power play. There's also 10 cost Shanks, really, and Beckman thrown in there as just general removal options, power based. Phoenix Pineapple works really well on a rally turn, but also maybe like an early game removal tool if your opponent has just a threatening body, or you have just 2 spare down open in general. Getting around on KO effects like Kikunojo and Bartholomew Kuma is also very nice. In general, I think it's a strong card. Slave Arrow is Green Zoro Attack. We don't know what the EBO4 meta or EBO3 meta is going to look like, obviously. I wouldn't be surprised if Green Zoro was still relevant by then, especially if a deck like this became very relevant, where even if they can't remove our board, it does still cost them a card, and as a 4-life leader, the aggression would be very, very strong in our life. Something like Green Zoro would definitely be one of the meta calls. Also, 4k power for 1 Dawn and 1 card in hand is nice, especially if it's going hand neutral when you're bouncing back, let's say, a Yamato or a Nami or something, and you can just replay that next turn for another card draw, or another, on play, like a Jozu or a Beckman, right? Slave Arrow, I think, is just generically good at the moment, especially as far as blue counter events go. Moving on from my list, we also have DJ Smells' list. He is one of my most trusted Vivi, or OP04 Vivi players, and he ran the Usopp package back in the day with that leader, as well as now with this one. This revolves around the 4-cost Usopp that on play if you have, I want to say 2 or less characters with 5,000 or more power. Don't quote me on that though. He will play a 6k or less vanilla from your hand. This pairs really well with the 2 searchable 5-cost 6k vanilla 2ks. Usopp and Tony's by Chopper. It's just a really powerful early game to on 4 develop these 2 bodies and immediately start hitting your opponent's life. He also has Cavendish to establish that draw engine if he doesn't see Usopp, as well as other options like Tony's by Chopper and Nefeltari Vivi for a Searcher. Now, the reason he chooses Vivi over something like the Nami Searcher is because he runs both 5-cost Namis, and Nami cannot search herself, even though it's a favorite card. This still does revolve around the same 10-cost Kaido top end, as well as KO Shanks. He does run the promo Shanks for, I believe, the Imu matchup, where on play / when attacking, you turn off all of your opponent's blockers. This really helps when Imu's walling behind, and suddenly all of your swings are just going through at face every turn, even if they currently have 2 or 3 life, unlike Roger, which requires them to be closer to 0. Up next, we have Hiro Shisho's list. This list revolves around the powerful on-plays of the 6-cost 8k Boa, 7-cost 7k Beckman, and 7-cost 9k Kairos to keep your opponent's field clear, and opts out of the 5-cost Yamato Draw Engine as well as the 4-cost Cavendish in favor of the 4-cost Marco, 5-cost Red Nami that says on-play draw 1 card if you give your active leader minus 5,000 power, and the blue 5-cost Nami that says on-play draw 3 cards and stack 2. The Marco is a 4-cost 6k blocker that says on KO draw 2 cards. This is a general blue staple, and being a 4-cost blocker, as well as the Nami being a 5-cost blocker, is a very strong defensive option for this deck, as we can pretty much tank any size swing once per turn, as long as we just offer a block, and then treasure card to save it from being KO'd. This list also has the 1-cost 4k leader lock counter event forms. I'm sure many more of these lists will have this card, however, as it was just recently revealed, it probably hasn't had time to settle into our deck building sphere yet. Up next, we have Atomic's list. This is very, very toolboxy, with plenty of options, and cuts into the consistency a little bit, but offers more options every turn, in turn. We have the ASAB 152K as additional power reduction, the 4-cost Sabo 2K as removal protection for ourselves, the 4 for the 1-cost Otama, the blue one. This is going to be a staple in this deck. It's just such a strong 2K. 1-cost on play, if you have 3 less life, you draw 2 cards, trash them from your hand. This list does, interestingly, opt into the 3-cost Vivi. Now, this card says on play, if you have 5 less cards and your leader is multicolored, draw 2 cards. This is a very, very strong option. I don't know if it's going to be super common, but as of right now, it is one of our better 3-Dawn options. We also have 4-cost Shanks in here. Just 4-cost 6K blocker, lets you turn your bricks into 2Ks. 2 of the 4-cost Pudding, as well as the last list. 4 of the Marco blocker again, opting out of Cavendish. 2 of the red 5-cost Nami, 3 of the blue 5-cost Nami, and 3 of the 5-cost Yamato. Staying at that same 8 to 12, or I guess 12 draw 2 options in that 4 to 5 Dawn range. This does opt for the Uta 2K blocker as a cheap 2-cost chump blocker late game that you can defend and still block with, because it does technically have a base cost of 4 or greater. Now, our top end is where things get interesting. We have 1 6-cost Boa, 4 of the Beckman, 3 of the Newgate that on play fetch a rested Dawn to your leader character, and then you can rest him to KO a 5K or less. We have 2 of the 8-cost Rayleigh, 3 of the 10-cost Shanks, and 2 of the draw 4 Kaino. This list is also backed up with 2 Mulguns. Mulgun is very, very strong in this leader, as it starts hitting 9Ks with your leader effect, and it's just one of the best red removal pieces in general. So that's our VV lists. Up next, I want to talk about, well, 2 things. First of all, do you have any requests? Touched about it a little earlier, but just touch on it one last time. If you have any requests for things you want to see, some decks, OP13, OP12, I can't do PRBO2 right now due to how the sim is functioning, but still, you can also drop options for when PRBO2 does drop. I've also been setting aside time to work on a sort of collab idea I have. And this is going to be a little bit longer than most of the other rants I've done on so far, but just stick with me here. I have been given a platform by... I have been gifted this platform to make Shanks content. And I greatly appreciate that. However, there are also tons of other players who lack a platform. And one nice thing about having said platform is that I can use it to spread those players' information through their decks. So while I am a great Shanks player, I am not good at every deck. I'm not gonna. That's not obviously new information. I mean, no one's good at all the decks, but often you will find players, especially in the primary Discord server, who are very, very good at a certain deck, and they don't necessarily have the platform to spread information regarding that. So I have been looking into creating videos with them on their decks, sort of like, I get compared to Jimmy Fallon a lot in a weird way, but sort of showing off their decks and their builds and their lines while they're here with me to record gameplay for this deck, so that I can still personally create content knowing that the deck I'm showing off and the video I'm making is educational for those wanting to play the deck, but not having to push myself to know more about the deck than I do. It also involves people who have been spending tons and tons of times on these leaders, have been building it for, months, maybe even a year by now, depending on how old it is, and just have all that practice and all that knowledge built in, and are not going to make the misplays I otherwise would have. I've set up about 5 or 6 of these by now, and that's only in the past few days. So if I can keep these going, it would actually be really cool if I could get consistent kind of quote-unquote collabs. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that right now. I just think it'd be really, really cool to be able to spread the knowledge of... I hate to say Discord users because I feel like it takes away from them, just as a general stereotype, but it is how I know them. The people in the leader chats who spend all their time playing this game working on those decks, right? People who are playing Buggy every day or playing Robin every day. And I just think it'd be really cool to include those people in my videos to give them a platform to spread their knowledge as well. So yeah, that's where I'm going with that. I'm just getting there. You'll probably see some of those pop up over these next few weeks, and they might get more and more consistent if they're popular, and if I can set aside time to do them, as well as if they can set aside time. My schedule is very open, but obviously not everyone's is, and that is sort of all I have, especially with time zones. But yeah, that's that. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have some good ideas for this week as well. We have a pretty free schedule. and nothing super in stone, but I am definitely looking forward to some of the OP13 testing, as well as the control list, and trying out Smoker and P. Luffy. I've already kind of played around with them a little bit. I feel actually like they're really, really fun. So, yeah, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed, and on that note, I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.